Hey there, welcome to Hobie on YouTube. This time around I have something that should be pretty exciting for any fan of Boker knives out there. I know it was an exciting discovery for me, but before I get into all of it, I want to take a moment to tell you about one of my favorite YouTube channels, Multitools and Blades. This channel's got a lot of great content on knives that ought to be of interest to viewers of this channel. The production quality is very professional. The creator has a great eye for collecting knives, and they're all in collector quality, and he also just has a very good presentation style. It's one of my favorite new channels. I'm watching it a lot. I recommend you go take a look at it and give him a sub. Multi-Tools and Blades. If you are a fan of Boker knives, you will certainly recognize this knife as their iconic sports messer or sports knife, also known as the camp knife here in North America. It's a six-bladed utility knife with this peculiar frame shape that's often referred to as Humpback. So this is Boker's pattern 182, and this specific pattern has been in production by Boker since at least 1930. The more vintage examples will carry a larger shield with just the tree symbol inside and no Zolagen written in it, and are most always clad in either jigged bone or genuine stag. And that's why a couple of years ago, when my good friend and fellow collector Dave Arnold bought this knife off of an online Swiss auction site and showed it to me, I was very surprised. And I took a look at it and I said, "That's a very interesting Boker 182, Dave, but I don't think it's original." And the reason I didn't is because, first of all, the shadow pattern without bolsters is very rare. I've seen a few images online of older Bokers that are shadow patterned in either jigged bone or stag, but I've certainly never seen any type of Boker 182 with fiber scales. Also, it's harder to tell now because I've worked on the knife, but the knife has been repinned. It was evidenced by very crudely peened steel pins at the joints, and I said, "Dave, that knife's been apart. Somebody has repaired it. Perhaps they made homemade scales when they did." And he said, "Well, all that's possible, but I had the feeling that he had a little more faith in the knife's originality than I did." And I think that was actually the correct call by Dave, knowing what we now know about the knife. A short while ago, someone brought to Dave's attention an online article entitled "Song of the Humpback, Collecting the Boker 182 and Other Humpback Six-Bladed Scout Camp Knives." This article is on a blog on a website, roverhaven.com. That's the website for the Rover Haven strap business, a company that makes beautiful handmade custom watch straps and apparently sells them to customers all around the world. I believe the owner's name is Myron Erickson. At least I know Myron is the author of the blog and the article that I speak of. And it's just a really well-written article, by the way. If you're interested enough in old Bokers to be watching this, you'll need to go and read that article, check out the blog, and check out roverhaven.com's website and their watch straps while you're doing it. But it's well written, it's beautifully illustrated with pictures from, I believe, Mr. Erickson's personal collection. And in that article, there is an image of a fiber 182 that looks just like this, except his has the bail here in the front as it should. And he states that it has pre-World War II blade markings, is stainless steel, and has aluminum liners. He goes on to state that he thinks it's uber rare, he has seen one, and it's the one he owns. So when I saw that, I said, "Hey Dave, that's great news. This validates your knife. We now know there's another one just like it. Yours is not just some one-off homemade knife. It really increases the distinct possibility that Boker was producing 182s in fiber scales exactly like this at some point in time." And by the way, I've let Myron Erickson know about this knife as well, and he seemed just about as excited as we are to know that there's another one out there. And so Dave said, yeah, that's really great. He said, but I've actually just wrapped that knife up and I'm sending it on to another collector. And I was like, oh, okay. About 2 weeks later, this shows up in my mailbox. So this is a gift from Dave Arnold. Dave, again, thanks. I'm just really over the moon about it. So let's take a look at this knife. So first of all, I have refurbished this knife, and I was more aggressive with it than I normally am. I ground the pins flush, I sanded the steel and the scales, I machine polished the whole thing, cleaned it thoroughly, sharpened it, the whole 9 yards. And I know a lot of that is a strict no-no to many people that collect vintage knives, but I want you to watch the slideshow at the end of this video and make up your mind for yourself whether I improved this knife and added value to it or not. Okay, here on the outside, obviously the most unusual feature are these shadow pattern fiber scales. And this is the same material that you see on early Swiss soldier knives and Swiss officer knives. It does have a name. It's called vulcanized fiber, and it's a cellulose product. Here's an example of that large vintage shield. It just has the tree symbol and no Zolligen written in it. This one appears to be something other than nickel silver. Mr. Erickson believes his may be aluminum, and I'd have to guess that this is aluminum as well. By the way, this knife also has aluminum liners just like his. So here's the main blade. It is stainless steel. It came to me heavily scratched, and so I have sanded it and polished it. Not all of the scratches are gone. The deepest ones remain. I didn't want to get too aggressive with it, but I did remove a lot of scratches. And I also put a fresh edge on it. It had a kind of a rough edge, so now it's got a smoother, exceedingly sharp edge. Here's the tang stamp. It reads H. Boker & Co. Zolligen. This is a tang stamp that Boker used from the very beginning, 1869 up to 1944. So this is a pre-World War II tang stamp. And on the back, you'll see their tree symbol and the word Rostfrei, German for stainless. And that blade has pretty good snap. Here's the small pen blade. It doesn't have the same amount of snap, but it is firm. It's also stainless. It's also heavily scratched and has been polished and sanded, sharpened. It has the same tang stamps, but they're just reversed. So here on the front of the knife, what you're going to see is that tree symbol again, and Rostfrei. And on the back, H. Boker & Co. Zolligen. Here's the can opener. And if you look closely at it, you will see the tree stamp here. Screwdriver cap lifter has that tree stamp on the front. And another really unusual thing about this knife, other than the scales, is that while the blades are stainless steel and marked as such, the rest of the tools are carbon steel. And they were actually chrome plated. So the chrome plating was flaking off. It was about half gone. I did my best to remove it. While these look really shiny, that's just really polished up carbon steel. So here's your corkscrew on the back, and I believe that most of that chrome plating still remains in the coils there. That's why it looks so silver and shiny. Here you can see the aluminum liners. Also, the springs were chrome plated, and while there's some corrosion coming through, they still look very shiny. And then here is the awl. It's nice and full. Yeah, so chrome plating, I don't know. I've never seen another Boker knife with chrome plated tools. We do know of older utility knives that might have stainless steel blades and still are carrying the old carbon steel tools. But that might have been part of the knife being taken apart. Perhaps it was repaired, and then while it was being repaired, those carbon components were chrome plated to protect them from corrosion. Maybe that's why it was taken apart. We can only speculate. So this old Boker sports messer or camp knife, with its fiber scales and stainless blades and aluminum liners, is a real conundrum and remains somewhat of a mystery. But we now know that it's not unique. There's at least one more out there in the world, and we're certainly going to be on the lookout for more. So I want to reach out and say that if anyone that sees this owns one of these, or knows of one of these, or has even seen images or information about them online, please share that information with us in the comments section so we can all gain from collective knowledge. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the slideshow and have fun collecting.